What's up, everybody? My name is Jason, and welcome to the $13.5 billion EIDL grant stimulus update. It is Thursday, December the 17th, 2020. Please do me a favor. Give this video a thumbs up, hashtag EIDL with your comments below. Share this video all over social media. And if you'd like me to help grow your business with a brand new venture that we're going to launch in January of this coming year, I ask you please subscribe right now and make sure you hit the bell. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is arguably one of the most important videos I have ever done. If you want access to the balance of the $10,000 EIDL grant that you were promised in the original CARES Act, you need to listen to exactly what I'm going to tell you. I just read a copy of the 525-page bill that is probably going to go to the floor at some point in the next 3 to 5 days as they hash out the final bill. On page 73 of 525, it clearly states, and I'll pin it in the top comment, $13.5 billion have been set aside for the EIDL Emergency Grant Advance. That is the good news. And the reason it is good news is back in May of this year, when the original HEROES Act passed at $3.4 trillion, there was only $10 billion in there more for the EIDL grant. So $13.5 billion is definitely a step in the right direction. However, Congress, if you are listening, it is not enough money, in my opinion, and I will explain why in a second, to get all 9 million people or thereabouts the full $10,000 they were promised or the balance thereof in the original CARES Act. Allow me to explain. As of this morning, 3.7 million small business owners, sole proprietors, and independent contractors got a loan for the EIDL program. 3.7 million. Slightly more than double that applied but got rejected, probably because, in the most part, they have a credit score less than 570, which is the minimum amount required to get a loan. There was also, as many of you know, a lot of fraud, a lot of bullshit, a lot of fakes, a lot of phonies. So if we take that $13.5 billion number, which again is on page 73 of the 525-page bill, that covers about 80 to 90% of the 3.7 million people that got a loan. In other words, in my opinion, if you got a loan, I believe you're probably first in line to get the balance of the $10,000 grant that you were promised in the original CARES Act. If you got rejected for a loan, or the SBA thinks you're a fraud, you're among the 4 or 5 million more in total of 9 million that didn't get a loan, you're up shit's creek without a paddle, so you're going to have to listen to what I'm going to tell you must do. First of all, Congress, I respectfully ask for more money. Yes, it's better than the $10 billion that you had in the original HEROES Act back in May. But if you just do the math, according to the SBA, the average grant paid out was $5,000. So on average, the 3.7 million to 9 million small business owners in total that applied are due an average of $5,000. Well, if that $5,000 is going to go to the 3.7 million who got a loan, that's 80 to 90% of the money. In other words, if you're like me and you did get an EIDL loan, no matter what the size, you're probably first in line. In this $13.5 billion number is close to the entire amount that they're going to need to get you the balance of the $10,000. However, Senator Schumer, Speaker Pelosi, Mitch McConnell, Kevin McCarthy, and everybody else is going to get a copy of this video. If the intention is to get all 9 million people, regardless of credit score, which is a lot of the bills that say S4227, for example, you can't be discriminated against regardless of credit. You can't deny someone that has a 500 credit score that didn't get a loan access to the grant according to S4227. So I'm asking Congress right now to at least double the amount to somewhere between 25 and $30 billion so that all 9 million or thereabouts can get the balance of the $10,000 they were promised in the original CARES Act. Now, ladies and gentlemen of this channel, and I'm calling on all the others who have created content regarding EIDL. Meet Kevin Max Maher, Travis Sickle, Andrew Cartwright, Speak and See, Dan over at Allegedly, Rod Squad, the Stephen Carlson Show, and everybody else in between. And yeah, I referenced one or two channels who've thrown me under the bus. Look, we're all in this together. We all need to put our heads together right now to make sure as much money as possible gets into this damn bill that's going to be voted on. Please go over the bill that I will pin in the top comment. I see $13.5 billion. 3.7 million people have gotten a loan. The average amount they're due is $5,000. So 3.7 times $5,000 is somewhere around $18 billion that's required. 13.5 gets us, 80% of the way there. But if we're going to get the entire 9 million people, in other words, the other half that didn't get a loan for whatever reason, if we're going to get them the balance of the $10,000 their own, we need more money. So I'm asking Mitch McConnell, Nancy Pelosi, Kevin McCarthy, and Chuck Schumer to please make the number 25 to 30 billion. If you cannot, let us not forget, there's already $125 billion of unspent EIDL money, and the deadline is December the 21st. In other words, if they don't extend the damn deadline, you still have a gigantic pile of money. Do an executive order with the president. He's got time to do that now between here and January 21st. Do an executive order so we get at least 30, preferably closer to $50 billion, because that will definitely cover every legitimate small business owner, sole proprietor, and independent contractor who's watching, because all we ask, and this is what we've been fighting for the last 10 months, is that the intent of the CARES Act is honored as written. And that clearly states, especially through the help of these new bills like S4227, Problem Solvers Caucus, and the new $2.2 trillion HEROES Act. The congressional intent was to get everyone $10,000 as part of an advance within 72 hours. $13.5 billion, which is in this new bill, again on page 73 of 525, it will not cover everyone. So whether we have to pull from that pile of $125 billion or someone has to appropriate another $10 to $15 billion minimum, that's exactly what I'm asking you to do. Now, to everyone on this channel, including all the other ones that I just mentioned, we need to get our shit together and fast. In other words, you need to legitimize yourself quickly, because if $13.5 billion is all there is, I estimate that's about 2 to 2.5 months of the SBA doling out money. Remember, it took them 4 or 5 months to get through $20 billion on the grant. $13.5 billion, it's probably going to be 2 to 2.5 months. In other words, if you're first in line or you go after this grant money in the first 2.5 months, you're probably going to get the full $10,000 or the balance thereof. But it's not going to surprise me if the SBA pulls another fast one and says, we had a lot of fraud over the last several months, and they did. We've got some fraudsters in the comments. By the way, don't ever respond to anyone who says, go meet so-and-so over on Instagram. I block these motherfuckers as fast as I can. But they show up in droves every time I do a video. Never, under any circumstance whatsoever, email someone over on Instagram or any other site. They're just trying to take your hard-earned money. You do not need anyone's help other than mine and the handful of other channels that I mentioned to get you this money that you were promised in the CARES Act. So, here's what you must do. Do you have a website? If not, go to Wix, Square, Squarespace, any of the simple, get a one-pager, get something done. You need to legitimize your sole proprietor or your independent contractor. Number 2, do you have a business checking account? I'm talking about with the big boys, Wells Fargo, Chase, Bank of America, etc. If you don't, in my opinion, right now is the best time to do that. If you do have a website, do you have testimonials? If not, get them on there. Always be honest. But what I'm trying to tell you guys is if the SBA is going to come up with a fraud check with respect to this $13.5 billion, if you don't pass the sniff test, you're not going to get your money. The good news, as I've mentioned before, the 3.7 million that have gotten a loan, in my opinion, you've already passed the sniff test. They already have your bank statements, your tax returns, 2202, 4506, T as in Tom, especially if you've done a reconsideration. Those folks, in my opinion, are going to be fine. You're going to have the best shot to get as close to, if not the full $10,000 that you were promised in the CARES Act. But if you're some of these Uber or Lyft drivers and you have absolutely no business checking, you never incorporated, you can't produce a Schedule C, you can't show that you've got business receipts, or you didn't get your taxes done, that's number 3, you got to get your damn taxes done. I've been talking to people just as soon as last night. They're trying to do a reconsideration without your 2019 taxes being done. It's not going to work. Ladies and gentlemen, I, along with the other channels, and I've mentioned them many times, have worked our ass off to get us to this moment. We have at least $13.5 billion for the EIDL grants. I am respectfully asking everyone in Congress to please double that number to at least 25 to 30 billion. But if they do not, and they refuse to take my idea of appropriating the money on the $125 billion of loan money that's still there, you have to legitimize yourself as soon as possible. Get a website, get your taxes done, put some testimonials up, go get a business checking account at a major bank. A lot of these cash apps, and I don't need to mention the names, are where all the fraud is. It's throwing off red flags. And if the SBA is going to be put into a corner to honor the intent of the CARES Act as written, and I might say before I forget, and thank you for staying with me this long, on page 73, it clearly states that the $13.5 billion for the EIDL grants is in relation to Section 1110 of the CARES Act. To me, that means the intent, which was to get you $10,000 within 72 hours, which is in the CARES Act. Nowhere in the CARES Act does it say that Ms. Carranza had the authority to ration the grant at $1,000 per employee. So in my opinion, and again, I welcome any of the other channels to read the bill and tell us what you think in your own videos. There's $13.5 billion there to get as many as people as possible, probably 2 to 3 million, close to the 3.7 that got a loan, the full 10 grand. If anybody out there sees anything else, let me know in the comments. Until next time, I love you guys. I appreciate your help and your support of getting us here. We have $13.5 billion that are definitely being appropriated for the EIDL grant, which for many, many of you that are watching, it means you're going to get the $10,000 in full or the balance thereof. Until next time, I really appreciate you guys, and thanks so much for watching.